welcome to this talk. I know that some of you are hearing me for the first time and not all of you. My apologies to those who've heard me before. But those of you who are hearing me for the first time, I hope you will hear me again after this one. My talk is on leadership by example. So I'm here to simplify leadership, not complicate it. And I believe that leadership is very simple. It's very clear what you need to do and how you need to be. But we're just going to talk about how simple leadership can be effective and how you can be a simple leader and a great leader. Great leaders are almost always great simplifiers who can cut through argument, debate, and doubt to offer a solution everybody can understand. Colin Powell is one of the people that people quote ad nauseum. I watched a film recently called The Intern. I don't know if you've seen it. The Intern has Robert De Niro and Anne Hathaway. It's on at the moment. So in that film, the character played by Robert De Niro, Whitaker. When Whitaker comes up with a quote, he says something, love and work and this. So he says, the person there, Anne Hathaway, says, is that your quote? He says, yes, but I think Mark Twain must have said it sometime before. So someone like Colin Powell and Mark Twain, they have these quotes which are everywhere and on everything. So you can expect quotes on leadership from Colin Powell. So we're talking about simplifying leadership. And simplifying leadership, if you simplify leadership into one slide, this is what it is. Positive thinking, empathy, a degree in people. My friend Chitranjan Chatty is not here, otherwise I would have asked him. I'm going to ask you later. Don't give the answer yet. Seeing the bigger picture, drive, verve, and innovation. I didn't have enough space on the slide, otherwise I would have had another one for innovation. Inspiration, and of course leading by example, which is a combination of a lot of these things. So let's start with positive thinking. The positive thinker sees the invisible, feels the intangible, achieves the impossible. All of us are human beings. Anyone who's not? What happens is that we all encounter situations. We react differently to that. In this hall, if there was a situation at the moment, any kind, chipkali, fire, you would have different reactions. Positive reactions, neutral reactions, negative reactions. So there's always someone in your Shatabdi coach who is cribbing about everything under the sun. And you hear him loud and clear. Kuch nahi hota ji. Prime Minister, aida hai, ye ho gaya, wo ho gaya. The waiter who comes with the tea is the one to bear the wrath of this kind of individual. He's the guy who gets, pilloried. So they say that this is my favorite one, when a girl is dating a boy and wants to decide whether he's a good guy, then what needs to be done is to watch how the guy is with the waiter. How does he behave with the waiter? That's what clinches it. If he's a positive, good human being, then he's going to talk nicely to the waiter. He's not going to throw his weight around at the waiter. So what happens there? A positive thinker is someone who is mostly positive. We're all human beings, again. We can go through our depressions, our negativities, our pangs of doubt, pangs of fear, pangs of guilt, pangs of this or that. But if you're a positive thinker, you win the battle of life. And if you're a positive thinker, you become a good leader. Simple as that. We'll give some examples. So I'm going to have a lot of examples, and this is the first one. I'm sure Vikas Ahuja is very happy because he heads Infosys Chandigarh, and we all know that Mr. Narayan Murthy is the founder of Infosys. So the first thing is that anybody who set up Infosys had to be a positive guy. Started out from a garage or whatever. You know how these net solutions didn't start from a garage, I guess, Samir, but started from the SPIC incubation center. Whatever. The point is that when you start out with 2 people, 1 person, 3 people, 4 people, you have to be positive. And then you grow to 200,000? 187,000. And you grow to 1 billion and then 2 billion and then 4 billion or what billion? 8 billion. By the way, on billions, Bill Gates was at, Bill Gates somehow has gone out of fashion these days. About 8 to 10 years ago, I was in Delhi, Marriott Hotel, to attend a conference. He was being interviewed by Prannoy Roy. And Prannoy Roy asked Bill Gates to check his mic because that was the conference part and the TV was not live yet. So before that. So Prannoy Roy said, okay, mic check, 1, 2, 3. Bill Gates said, okay, mic check, 1 billion, 2 billion, 3 billion. So a sense of humor. So positive thinking is something which is essential to leadership. Even if you have fears, because you're human, you cannot display them in public. Because if the leader is fearful, scared, terrified, apprehensive even, afraid, then the followers are going to be worse. A leader has to put on that facade, yes, but if he's a positive thinker to the core, then he doesn't have to put on a facade either. See, my theories on leadership, positive thinking are my own. I mean, they're everywhere, but I haven't read these up. This is experience. This is inner feelings which are coming to the core. Positive thinking is vital. Mr. Tata, empathy and understanding. There's a story which links Narayan Murthy and J.R.D. Tata, which involves empathy. Who's the main character in that story? Sudha Murthy. Sudha Murthy was not married yet. She was working for the Tatas. She was a youngster standing outside the Tata building in Bombay, waiting for the car to come and pick her up. A young lady, probably a wisp of a girl, a South Indian girl, and afraid because it's dark, it's Bombay, waiting for the vehicle, you know, though Bombay is a safe city. But still, Mr. J.R.D. Tata happens to come out of the building, spots her. Why are you standing here? Because I'm waiting for my vehicle. I'll stand with you. He stood with her for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, it doesn't matter. He stood with her. She writes about it now in her books because she is now Mrs. Narayan Murthy. So she's famous, but at that time she wasn't. And he didn't know she's going to be someone important or famous. So he stood with her, the chairman of Tata, Mr. J.R.D. Tata. Somehow I love these Parsis. I'm going to talk about Sam Manekshaw later. I'm going to talk about Sam Manekshaw. So empathy and understanding, just to go back. Empathy with your people, with others, with other organizations, with rivals. Why should a rival be your enemy? Understand his point of view. You're leading something, you're leading a team in competition with someone else. You don't have to vilify the enemy, the opposition, wrong word. Have empathy with them, their methods. They're also trying to do a good job of whatever they're trying to do. Understand. Now, empathy and understanding also involves, again, I'll come back to a socialistic kind of thing, you might call it. Have you ever spoken to your peon or your helper about his children? कौन सी class में पढ़ते हैं? How are they? Where are you from? When did you last go to your village? How are the folks back home? गाँव में लाइट आती है? One sentence from an officer or a CEO to the guard outside and his life changes. Or at least his year changes. Maybe in January you can make it a point to talk to somebody like that. For the rest of the year he'll be fine. Which reminds me, and I'm a cricketer, so I give these cricket examples. Former cricketer. Rakesh Jolly is a former Haryana medium pacer. And India में medium pacers बहुत हैं. Quick bowlers कम हैं. So he used to move the ball here and there. So I used to be an under 15 cricketer and he was already playing Ranji Trophy. So this saal ke shuru wali baat hai na, this January you do it and he remembers it for the year. So Jolly comes back from the Wills Trophy. There used to be something called the Wills Trophy, which was a one-day tournament. And he says, my quota for the year is done. I got the wicket of Sunil Gavaskar. So my quota for the year is done. So your quota for the year is done. If you will ask the chap outside, what did he have for dinner? How is his wife? How are his children? Not ask about his wife too much. The children, yes. Okay. Who's this? Anyone? Whose picture is it? Come on. Who has a degree in people? Famously quoted by Ian Botham. He was the captain of England.
That's it.
Didn't deserve to be in the team. He did not deserve to be in the English cricket team, but he was the captain of England because he had a degree in people. Because he led England to more victories than most captains. He was such a good captain. He couldn't score more than 50 runs. JK, I know you're Googling. Mike Brearley. He's Mike Brearley. So Mike Brearley had a degree in people because he could understand which buttons to push with whom. Ian Botham ka nickname tha Beefy. Ian Botham you couldn't mollycoddle. Fierce man. So Brearley could handle him, bring out the best in him. Someone who's a gentleman like cricketers, let's say Atherton, Michael Atherton. He's a true gentleman. So you handle him differently. So basically batsmen are gentlemen and fast bowlers are not. That's the basic thing. Apologies to any fast bowlers. But the point is that a degree in people is essential for a leader to have. Not a formal degree. I don't think there's such a course anywhere. I don't think there's a course called a degree in people. There may be, but I'm not sure. What is your degree in people? The same thing. Everyone reacts differently to pressure, to cajoling, to encouragement, to positivity, to firmness, to negativity. If you're going to encourage someone who is already on top of the world and thinks too much of himself, he doesn't need that. He needs a bit of firmness to get back down to what he should be. He already thinks too much of himself. So you're not going to get anything out of him by encouraging him all the time. But someone who's a little, he's a sincere chap, needs just a pat on the back. So a degree in people means that you understand each and every person in your team. And you lead that person according to his ability or his feelings or his character or his motivation levels. So a degree in people means the understanding of how to deal with whom. Anyone who's led a team of even 3 people, those 3 people are not the same. You cannot treat all of them the same way. So one of them you may take out for a drink. The other you may just send a text message at times and that's good enough. And the third one, he may be beyond repair, so you just kind of give up on him, but don't waste your time on him too much. So the thing is to understand people. A cricket captain has 11 people to manage, maybe 14, 16, because of extras and all. And the English cricket captain has a much easier time of it than the Indian cricket captain, because he doesn't have to handle the media and the frenzy and all that. I wanted to bring in this picture of the Guru Paramahansa Yogananda much later, but I couldn't help bringing it in now, because this fits with him. Seeing the bigger picture. Very important for a leader to see the bigger picture. It's a spiritual kind of thing, but if you don't spiritualize it, Paramahansa Yogananda is a great guru who wrote Autobiography of a Yogi. But if you don't spiritualize it also, just talk about leadership. What is the bigger picture? Am I getting bogged down by day-to-day things, minute-to-minute setbacks? Or do I see the bigger picture? This is where I wanted to be next year. I'm on course. Or I'm not on course, I'm almost there, I will be on course. Am I getting bogged down by the smaller picture, the smaller things that are happening? As a leader, I can't afford to be. So I have to see the bigger picture for the organization. What matters in the long run? What matters years later, months later, not now, today. Yes, you live in the present, you work in the present, but you have to see the bigger picture to be a successful leader. The Prime Minister has to see the bigger picture. In India, in fact, the problem of leadership, we're talking about leadership. Let's talk a little bit about India. What happens in India? We are not led well enough. We are good people with talent, with resources. Resources means abilities. We are not led well enough. There's a crisis of leadership in India. I don't mean the present leadership. I mean the overall leadership scenario. Political leadership, administrative leadership. There are not enough people talking to us, inspiring us, directing us, or cajoling us, explaining to us. Chief ministers, prime ministers, ministers, chief secretaries, any other leaders, social leaders, societal leaders. They don't talk to us enough. They don't communicate well enough. We don't get to hear them enough. We don't get to be inspired by anything. We're just going about it in our own way. So in India, at every level, there's this crisis of leadership. That bigger picture doesn't emerge. We don't have anyone to look forward to look up to. Someone like Gandhi ji or anyone. Even Barack Obama in the US. I don't know, I mean, maybe ratings go down. And even Mr. Modi when he started off. Inspiration is something we need all the time from the leader. A leader has to lead. They're not leading enough. Someone closer to home for tech guys. Anyone know who this is?
Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos is the founder or the head of Amazon. Now Jeff Bezos has drive, verve and innovation. He's a with it guy. He was in Bangalore about a few months ago. They plastered the whole city with Amazon. And Amazon is probably number 2 to Flipkart even now in India. Jeff Bezos has his own style of working. Anyone know about his 15-minute introduction to a meeting? What does he do? Before the meeting starts, he puts a sheet of paper in front of everybody. 4-pager. Everyone read this first. So the first 15 minutes of the meeting or 10 minutes, whatever, you have to read the paper. All his top brass is there. No one speaks. Read. So by the end of it, even if you're not interested, you might as well read. And nothing else is happening anyway. The TV is not on. The windows are closed. So you have to read. So at the end of those 15 minutes, everyone is on the same page. And then the meeting starts. Because people don't read up enough before meetings. So he makes sure that they read. Because they're traveling, they're busy, the wife's arguing, something else is happening, whatever's happening. So this is style, I mean it's a way of doing things, you may not agree with it, but he has drive, his leadership. He says that this is how we're going to do things. Everyone needs to know what is going to happen. Innovation. Innovation I don't need to talk too much about. Leaders have to innovate. Leaders cannot be doing run-of-the-mill things at all. Where's the leader required then? Just for crisis management? No. Leaders have to innovate and take their organizations forward and be different from the others. And innovation doesn't end. It continues forever. Anyone who says that I've innovated enough and now I've found my plateau, I'm fine. No. Times change. Everything keeps changing. And with that, you need to change. Your organization needs to change. My favorite part of leadership is inspiration, so I'm going to spend a little bit on this. You can be inspired by anyone. I'm inspired by a few people, not too many, but a few. One of them is Mr. Bachchan. No, he's not a leader as in he doesn't, as far as we know, he had a company and all okay, and he was a political leader, fine. You know, he's not leading a team as such. He's an actor. He's an actor. But he's a leader in the sense that he's a role model. He may have his failings, but he inspires. How does he inspire? Yes, great actor, booming voice, fantastic fight scenes, not too good at romance, whatever. Not great looking in the conventional sense like Shashi Kapoor, Rajesh Khanna or Ranveer Kapoor even. But personality, presence. But how does he inspire? Today, he inspires on shows like that, Kaun Banega Crorepati. The kind of empathy he has for the guy is evident for the next chapter, for the common man. So he's inspirational. A leader has to inspire. A leader cannot be placid, staid. Has to inspire. You cannot lead people without inspiration. Even a minuscule bit of inspiration is okay. But the leader has to somehow instill that inspiration in his team. Inspiration is an underrated commodity. It is something we don't talk about enough. We need children of today, youngsters of today, to be inspired by something, anything. We can't just be all gadget freaks and mechanical and materialistic and going about the motions and doing whatever we do. There has to be something in the morning which makes you excited. Every day when you get up, something should inspire you. And if your leader inspires you or your role model inspires you, nothing like that. You have to have someone. Could be Tendulkar, Lata Mangeshkar, maybe these are old fashioned. Could be the Oyo guy or the Flipkart guy. Could be anyone like that. So coming to a few points which are very much a part of leading by example. The main thing about this talk today is the first point there. A leader has to be a leader all the time. What does that mean? It means you can't put on a pretense for your team, except for what I said earlier, that if you're scared, don't show it. If you're disgruntled, angry, don't show it that much. That means you have to be the leader, not pretend to be the leader. When you're a parent, you have children. Anyone who has children leads those children, should be leading those children. How do you lead them? By doing the right things for them to follow. Leading by example. Parents have to lead the family or whatever by example. They cannot have different reactions at different times. Crossing red lights, saab ghar pe nahi hai, bathroom mein hai, lies. Children pick up these things. So when you lead by example, you have to be living that leadership. You cannot be putting on an act. Yes, you can be yourself at times, chill, have a drink, lie down on the beach, whatever, that's fine. But to be a leader means that you're a leader per se, to the core. You can be a leader of a small team. Gabbar Singh was a leader. Yes, he was a leader. Fantastic leader. Inspired by fear. Whatever. But he was that. So you have to be the leader all the time. Whether you wake up in the middle of the night or you go brushing your teeth, you have to live that. So you have to develop these core values within yourself along the way somewhere. Then you become a good leader. You have to live that leadership. And the values are basics. Just follow the basics. The straight line I've been taught when I was a science student engineering, the shortest way between 2 points. The shortest way to get from point A to B is a straight line. Via Batinda is okay at times. So the straight line is what you need to follow. Values, truth, honesty, no need to get. They always win in the end. Cheerfulness, underrated. Grossly underrated. Grossly underrated. Do I have humor somewhere? No. I put it as part of cheerfulness. A sense of humor. Not deliberate sense of humor again. Try and develop it if you're a leader. Look at the funny side. When you're driving past something, if you're being driven or driving, try not to text while driving or even at the back. Look out at times, might see something funny, some guy on the bike, or some girl and boy fighting, or something else happening. Look at life. See humor in whatever you see. I have a middle today in the Hindustan Times. It's called Life in Connected Network Times, something like that. Middles. These middles are short pieces on life as we see it. And life as we see it can be again looked at in two ways or multiple ways. One of these ways is cheerfulness, seeing the funny side of everything. Of course, when you're the butt of that, it may not be possible. But still, you can at times, even make an effort for that. But cheerfulness, humor is something which instills a positive sense in the team. That happy atmosphere. Glum faces don't work. They don't produce results. Enough studies to show that when there's a cheerful team, they'll do better. Simple as that. When they're cribbing all the time, won't work. Calmness. Now, calmness I don't want to stress too much, but it is vital. Calmness is something which we mentioned it in various ways today, but calmness is something basically that you have to live. I have a quote on calmness later, so I'll talk about it later. Communication. When you're leading, you have to be a good communicator. You need not be great at languages, you can still be a good communicator. Some people, they write very well, they don't speak that well. Some people, they make eye contact and communicate. Some people just communicate by doing whatever they're doing very well, setting an example. But you have to communicate in today's world. In today's very connected world, communication skills are vital. So communication is something which Sam Manekshaw, I want to talk about him, was a great communicator. And Sam Manekshaw was known as Sam Bahadur. He was Field Marshal. One of his quotes is that there's a very thin line between being a Field Marshal and being dismissed from the army. Why? Because Indira Gandhi told him attack Bangladesh in April of that year, 71. He didn't. He said, no, I won't. I can't do it because of the rain, because of the flood, because of this, because of that. He could communicate effectively, and she agreed, though she was cross, distraught. One other thing about Sam Manekshaw, great sense of humor. So once there was a top level meeting called suddenly, he's the Chief of Army Staff, Defense Minister Babu Jagjeevan Ram, Indira Gandhi, Morarji Desai, whoever, all these guys are there. And the meeting was to start at 11. Somebody came late, it started at 11:30. Sam was there, of course, 10:45, like the army should be. 12:45, Sam gets up. The meeting is still on. Cabinet. Where are you going, Sam? The meeting is not over yet. He says, Prime Minister, my daughter has promised to take me out to a 5-star hotel for lunch. I cannot afford that lunch. She will not treat me again. I have to go. And he goes.